Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is David Novak. Usually this channel is dedicated to talking about the books that I am reading. The name of the channel is a bit of a misnomer. When I started the channel, it was devoted to reading poetry aloud. That fell by the wayside 4 years ago, as a matter of fact, or about 4 years ago. But for about a year now, I have been devoting myself to BookTube fare. Now, BookTube is a so-called corner of YouTube where people get together and talk about books. But I have had requests to talk about our pets. A couple of these cats have appeared in videos. And so I think I will try to locate these animals where they happen to be and just give you some brief introduction. Now this girl there is from Egypt. I don't know if you know much about the situation for cats in Egypt, but there probably is no country in the world worse to be born a cat. She came as an add-on with her husband. I'll try to locate him next. She was found on a pile of garbage in Cairo and was paralyzed. It's not uncommon for kittens to be paralyzed, and somehow when they start getting proper nutrition and are cared for, sometimes they come out of it, and she fortunately did. So we were in the process of adopting her husband, and she was scheduled to go to another place, and then at the last minute, the agency said, his wife is available also. Now, they did not know that she was his wife. There was a bond between them, and we had expressed that being that they were a bonded pair, we would be interested in her if she were available. And it just so happened that the planned adoption fell through. I will get back to him. Now, unfortunately, I shoot with the iPad, and to do a full frontal shot with the iPad is, well, that camera just does not work well. So the selfie camera works better, and let's see if I can do this. Oops. There he is. So that's the husband. He, unfortunately, the first thing he did upon coming to America was meet with a head injury, and he now has brain damage. Now, I think there might be another one in here. Let's see if I can locate this one. This is a tougher position to go for. Possibly in here, I'm thinking. No. Well, maybe not today. If she's not in one of these. Oh, I think I see her. Okay, hold on. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Hey kiddo. Can we see you well enough? Now, she is a domestic cat. I mean, from down the street. We were waiting on the Maos, Mr. and Mrs. Mao, for About a year. Getting transport to the U.S. is just kind of difficult, and it kept falling through. And we finally got so tired of it that we decided to just go down the street and see what kind of felines were available at the local shelter. They had a whole room full of kittens, and we decided to pick that. Oh, okay. There's one right here. This is our oldest cat. He's a flame point Siamese. He was the glue that held together our old batch of cats. Sometime a few years ago, he started having some kind of inner ear issue. They drained a lot of stuff from inside his ear, and he started walking with a tilt, and he lost a lot of weight. He was known as a very big cat. Now he's a shadow of his former self, but he's our oldest, and he's on the way out. We would not be surprised if this is his last year. So he was the oldest of our old batch. This one right there next to him is a buddy of his. These two are bonded. There you go. And he's real skittish, so I don't dare to approach him. He would just run off. He will come to you on his own accord, but if you try to go and get him, he's going to be off. So he's a little bit younger, maybe three years younger, but he's starting to become an older cat as well. But these two, we have countless photos of the two of them just snuggling together. It will be a sad day when the older guy goes and the younger here is left by himself, because we have this whole crop of newer cats, our latest batch, and he's of his own generation and has not really bonded all that well with the rest of them. That girl that I just showed you up in that box, they're good, but she's good with absolutely everybody. She's the least troublesome cat you ever had. She, as it happened, was raised by the Maos, so she had a real good sort of feline education. All of the cats that come from Egypt are stray cats. So I showed you our flame point. This was his brother. I put him on the cover of my book, Quarantine Boutique. He was always the less healthy of the two, and he died, I believe, just before the start of COVID. And it was at a time when getting in to see our vet was very difficult. And he stopped eating, and we had an appointment. We were dealing with it for a while, and the vet, he was going to draw blood, but he felt that the cat was too weak, so he didn't want to draw blood. And so it went on for some weeks, and we tried force feeding him a bit, and there was no improvement, and we made another appointment with the vet and managed to get in, and he elapsed on the floor in the bedroom just that morning, and so I carried him to the vet in a shopping bag with his feet sticking out. So as long as he is here, the gingers, or Now I can't think of what the other name is, but this guy comes from Egypt as well. The Egyptian cats they are all from long lines of strays. So his ancestry probably goes to a street cat all the way back to the days of the pharaohs, quite possibly. And you've seen some of these mummified cats in museums, and the first time I ever saw one, I thought, man, that's a funny looking cat. Cats really don't look like that. Well, they actually do. So this is what he looks like, and I wish I could show you better, but and so he came with the other ginger, the orange cat, because they were buddies as well. Well, you've seen the other guy in a lot of videos. He ran into the bedroom while I was going to look at the other two. So let's let you see him a little bit. He's a very sweet cat. He's very much second in command to the other ginger. The other guy likes to bully people, and if the other guy is bullying people, he's right there on the spot. He likes to be the second person, and so if somebody is cornered under a chair, he will block the egress to that cat and be a very brave fellow, as long as his friend, the bigger guy, is there. The bigger one is a little bit younger than him by perhaps a month. So I'll try to go and show you him next. Okay, kiddo. Let me go this way. Don't break it. Here is his friend. This guy is really the alpha cat. When we got him, he was pretty pleasant with everybody, and over time he's decided that one of the most fun things to do is just attack another cat, and he's pretty mean about it. Most of the other cats would do a lot of sparring and stuff, but it's kind of practice. The cats in Egypt, I don't know if it's what they do normally or if it's just because of life in the shelter with so many cats, but they do an awful lot of sparring, and it's all low-level controlled. I don't know that you can see him. This guy comes from Nashville. After we lost the polydactyl cat, I should point that out to you. He was remarkable in that he was polydactyl both on the front and the back. Really, and he was even bigger than the white cat that had a reputation for being a big cat. Well, after he died, and possibly the first cat that we picked up during COVID was this guy who came from Nashville. He's a Siamese of some sort, and for the first couple of years, it was murderous on the younger of the two buddies that I showed you, just attacking him every chance he got, and he's had some troubles of his own since, which have sort of broken his self-confidence, and he's in that respect not the cat that he used to be, though he has become a nicer cat than he used to be. His first owner was a woman, and she apparently did not treat him well at all. His second owner was a woman, and she loved him and knew ultimately that the relationship was not working well. They were at loggerheads all the time, and he was a pretty mean-spirited cat when we first got him. And so she had put him up for adoption, and we wound up taking him. And but for a traumatic incident which occurred, I think that this environment has been very good to him. That girl that was up high is a very good friend of his. Every chance they get, you will find the two of them in the bedroom together. And our brain damaged cat was his very first friend. I don't think he ever had a friend, and so it was a we took them both up to Upper Peninsula, Michigan, to see the colors, and because our brain damaged cat requires medication twice a day, so we took him, and then this guy. One time we had boarded him at a place, and they were calling me every day saying, "Can you come and get this cat?" Nobody could stand him. He was better with men, and still is better with men. But as I say, subsequent to that traumatic incident, I don't think that he would present that kind of a problem. But so we had brought him along, and our brain damaged cat taught him to spar, so they would tussle together, and they are still friends. Our little one with the brain damage is a friend of everybody. He loves everybody. He is affectionate to everybody all the time. So we are here in the bathroom, and I will show you this little girl. She basically lives in the bathroom. You will note a resemblance to our big, fat, polydactyl cat that died. Well, she showed up on one of these websites, and she was in Georgia. So during COVID, we drove down to get her. She has not been a replacement for that guy. She's the smallest cat you ever saw. And in consequence of that, she tends to get picked on rather mercilessly by everybody else, or she did. And the other factor is that she does not like cats at all. She likes people very much. She is a huge people lover. And she developed the habit then of peeing all over the place. And ultimately, we've come up with a solution that works for her, which is during the day, she stays in the bathroom. She's not entirely alone. Somebody else can come and visit her now and again. Particularly our real old cat will be in here a lot. And then at nighttime, she goes into the bedroom and sleeps with me or with my partner or with both of us, depending on how we're doing things that night. Sometimes one will be out on the sofa with everybody else. So it's really irregular around here. But the method seems to be working. So there you can sort of see the litter box behind me, and to make the system work, I have to take the litter box into the bedroom every night, and can't have another cat in the bedroom because then she will start peeing all over the place in the bedroom. She is a real lover, though. Like the big cat, the big polydactyl cat. Sorry for that. She of all the cats seems kind of unclean. Her hygiene is not the best. So she, as I said, she came from Georgia. Now let me show you the last one, which is this guy here. Oh, she has the same bad fur that the other guy had. Now, kind of bothers me. Years ago, I took some allergy tests. Cost me $800, and they let me know that I was allergic to cats, to dogs, and to dust. And unfortunately, we have all of those things around here. So this guy is our last Egyptian cat. He looked better in the photos. And he came just in November, end of November. He was flown with a whole bunch of cats headed to some shelter or something. They landed in Toronto, and then a volunteer drove them from Toronto to Chicago, and they were left with a couple, or he was left with a couple, and then we went and picked him up. And fairly soon thereafter, he was not happy. Turns out he had stomatitis, which is a pretty awful disease. And he was obviously in pain. He probably hadn't been eating because I think the esophagus swells up. It's all inflamed. And so he was probably starving to death. And trying to capture him was traumatic for everybody. It was impossible. We had him in a room by himself, and just trying to chase him down and catch him. He was vicious about it. He didn't want you coming near him. He didn't want you touching him, and then he pissed and shit. And both of the times that we had to catch him, that's what happened. It's a little bit complicated. Eventually, though, we managed to get him to the vet, and the general cure, well, it's not a cure, the treatment for stomatitis is to have the teeth pulled. So he's got the 4 fangs, and that's it. Otherwise, a big gap. And slowly but surely, he's coming around. He's a real chow hound. Goodness knows how long he was starving, but it may be a permanent habit with him. Other people have said that their cats got over it. It's I guess, a fairly common malady of cats coming from Egypt. If you want to adopt a cat from Egypt, you're going to find they're very different to any other cat you've had from here in the U.S. As I say, they're all the byproduct of alley cats. So it's not that they're feral or anything. They're not wild cats, but they have they've learned a lot of things about surviving on the streets. And so, as I say, there's the mock sparring that is very common, and they're a wonderful experience. But you have to beware that if you do decide to adopt from Egypt and go through all of the rigmarole, you're more likely to have cats that have health issues and possibly expensive health issues. We had adopted one cat, or were in the process of adopting him, and he had a flight parent to, I can't remember now where it was, Tucson or something. And upon arrival there, he got really sick, and within about 4 days died, and so we never even got him. He was a really beautiful cat. But it's really treacherous for cats in Egypt. There's absolutely no respect for them. It's sort of perplexing as to why that would be, except for the fact that life may be sort of pretty miserable for a lot of people there. That's all I can say. It's a very different picture than to say Istanbul, where cats are revered and loved. You know, you go to a public park there and there's little cat food machines so you can feed the strays and they take care of them. Not so in Cairo. In fact, they go out of their way to be malicious to their cats. So I don't know if you've gotten a good picture of him. There he is. He really doesn't like to be grabbed. But he's in here keeping her company. So she's not all by herself. Here, come on. I want people to see you, dude. Whoop! And he's impossible to hold. So I'll just leave it at that. That's a girl. So this is our old dog. I think she's about 10 now. And back at the time when we had 7 cats, we had 3 dogs. And one of those dogs was a terror. He was a small poodle, but vicious, absolutely vicious. He was a case of people would not watch him, except fortunately, I did manage to find a few people who were happy to watch him, dog lovers. But he would bite you without thinking if you touched him the wrong way or looked at him the wrong way. Well, you learn not to touch him the wrong way or look at him the wrong way. And he grew to love us. But our older cat died and decided to get another one. And so we thought, well, we'll get a bigger dog. The dogs were smaller, you know. I can't remember now, 13 pounds, 15 pounds, something like that. And so she was the choice. She has a ravenous appetite. She's very wolf-like. I know it doesn't seem so here, but her number one objective is to find some kind of food. You'd think we were starving her, although the vet had said she was a little bit overweight. But you would never believe she was being fed here. And the other thing, which is also tied in with that food motivation, is she really wants to chase down small animals and kill them. One of the very first things she did was ferret out a rat from the undergrowth in the backyard and had it in her mouth, and it expired before I had hardly a chance to do anything, and fortunately she did not eat the fellow. She was good enough to give it up, but that's how she is. And she is the dog that was pulling on me and helped me to really muck up my back just a little bit over a year ago now. Well, about a year and 3 months, or 4 months in December. But she's very affectionate. So this is our younger boy. He's from just before the COVID era. And we decided to go with another big dog as somebody for her to play with. And it worked pretty well while he was a puppy. Anyhow, that is our second dog. He's maybe 5 now. And as you can see, she is still there. And lastly, there is this guy. I don't know if you can see him. He's not in the mood for being seen. As I say, having to do the selfie camera with this is kind of difficult. There he is. So he's a bit plucked, but Unfortunately, we in the years before COVID, we've had him for over 20 years, and he's a really good fella. But one year, after many other times when we had left him alone with somebody to look after him, we came back and he had plucked himself, which is a shame. Of all our animals, he's possibly the most content. I do not advise anybody to adopt a bird as a pet. It's not their natural environment. They want to be free-flying birds. But once you have somebody like this, well, then you got to be responsible. And you hear all kinds of terrible stories. And at one point, we were hoping that he would wind up going to Project Perry, which is a African gray shelter. It looks like they are not accepting any new admissions, so it's a question because he is certainly going to outlive us. Well, it's not certain, given a lot of these birds that are kept die prematurely. But so far, he's been doing okay, and we have not quite figured out what will happen in the future. So that is the end of my animal tour. Thank you for stopping by. I know some people will want me to reveal all the names, but I just feel that might be letting loose a little bit too much information out there, and so I respectfully withhold those little tidbits of information, at least for the time being. Thank you very much for stopping by my channel.